Welcome back for part 3 of our unexpected interview with Lar DeSouza. It adds a touch of authenticity to it, that there's a person behind this work, so people get to know you as well.
Precisely. I don't think anybody would be surprised to meet me in real life and find out I'm as much of a goofball as I am online. I don't need any kind of handle or anything. I'm just Uncle Lar. And I think that's valuable. Like I said, people don't need to know my middle name and my password and my banking and my cats and my whatever. But they do need to know I'm real. And I share those real moments. It doesn't have to be deeply personal. I'm not looking to make more friends than I already have. Although I always love making friends. But I'm not trying to sell them on me, other than to say, I'm real. This is how I think. These are the stories I have. Let's share them. Let's enjoy them. I think somebody should feel free to experiment, art and their writing. But if you're going to make any kind of dramatic changes, let your readers know. Say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to move to black and white. Hey, you know what? This character is breaking out. I make the comic focus on this character more. And you don't even have to say it that consciously. It just can happen organically. But if anybody kind of raises a question of like, why don't you ever write Bob anymore? Well, Bob kind of grew out. He kind of left my brain, and now Harry's taken over.
Nothing against Bob, but Harry's just more interesting to me right now. We might catch up with Bob eventually. I'm sure he's doing fine, off doing his own thing.
The professional realm too. I mean, Jim Medic, who does Monty, which is a syndicated comic. I first started following Jim when he was doing, what was the name of his comic? Well, Monty spun out of Robot Man. And Robot Man is still in Monty, although I don't think he's called Robot Man anymore. But, it's just like the storyline shifted from this sort of sci-fi around this little robot guy to the neighbor he lived with, Monty. And it became about Monty and his friends. And it's still hilarious. It's still beautifully drawn. And it's syndicated. It's one of the comics that gets in newspapers. We read Peanuts, but most people call it Snoopy. Because Snoopy kind of broke out for the longest time. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just these things can evolve. Be prepared for it. Accept it. Don't feel you have to shoehorn and say, no, I have a formula that I have Bob and I have Harry, and Harry is number 2 and Bob is number 1. And don't even get started on Sally.
That moment of, hate to break it to you there, artist. People have imprinted on this character like a baby duck. You want more people reading your comic strip? Focus more on this character.
I mean, speaking of my own personal journey, early on, this was actually pre-children, and I was still having visions of possibly being like a book illustrator, doing science fiction book covers, big sci-fi fantasy covers. And again, my only outlet for my art, and this is also pre-digital, was the local science fiction convention art shows. And I would post a few art paintings, and I'd post some cartoons. And I actually had the ladies who ran the art show, who were friends, but they had an intervention for me, is the only way I can put it. So it's like, listen, Lar, we love you. We love your science fiction art. Do more cartoons. People want your cartoons. Your sci-fi stuff is fine. They don't want it. Everybody else is doing it. I'm sorry, they're doing it better. You'll get there if you keep at it. You're not there yet. Your cartoons people want, give us more cartoons. And I think it was a case of, I've been taking that for granted because I've been doing the cartoons come fast and easy. And it was like, I have to work hard.
Not necessarily.
I'm still not a great painter, but I'm a good cartoonist. So sometimes you need somebody to point out the obvious to you.
Yeah, you don't always have to choose the most complicated way of doing things. If that is what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what you desperately want to invest in, by all means. But if what brings you joy is something that is like simple and silly, it's something that you can do very fast, quick, and easy, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think speed is necessarily a factor. I have learned that I'm a pretty fast artist, but it's by no means a prerequisite It's important to listen to voices you trust, because certainly I've had the moments where people are like, this isn't funny. I don't get this. That's a piece of advice I'll give. Don't bother explaining your jokes. If somebody doesn't get it, explaining it will not make it funny. And just say, that's okay.
Not your humor.
Not your humor. Don't even have to prolong the conversation. Just kind of go, okay, move on. And besides, if you're doing it on social media, there will be any number of people who will be happy to show up and explain the joke. And they can the person say, I still don't get it. Or they'll say, I get it. It's not really funny. It's like, of course it's not funny. You just juiced it all out. If you're not getting the reference, me explaining the reference to you isn't going to help, because you haven't read the book or seen the movie or heard the news item.
That's true, but on the opposite hand, I've seen where people, whenever someone makes a joke that is like meant to be offensive or degrading, how to take wind out of their sails is have them explain why it's funny.
That's very good.
Like when a man's like, hey, go make me a sandwich. Why should I make you a sandwich? Why can't you make a sandwich?
I'm not doing a cartoon of you making a sandwich and expecting it to be found funny. You are in on the joke, knowing it's a case of this person's being offensive. They think they're being funny, so I'm going to deflate them. That's different than me posting a cartoon of Spock and somebody going, I don't get it. And it's like, it's Spock. He's inherently logical or whatever. Like, you haven't seen that episode of Star Trek, or you don't like Star Trek. Well, I can't make you like Star Trek and make you like Spock to get the joke.
It's Spock in a tutu. If you don't get it, that's your problem.
Actually, it's Worf in a tutu, because he is a married. I've drawn that up. I'm talking.
Delightful.
I've tried cartoons a very long time.
Oh, that's adorable.
Way pre-digital. That's the kind of things I would do and take to the Star Trek convention and sell for $5, and everybody got a laugh.
Is that supposed to be Odo in the background?
Oh, that's Picard.
Oh, Picard. Gotcha. My brain went Deep Space Nine, because that's what I've watched most recently. Very impressive.
So, I'm an old nerd too.
I'm a baby nerd. It's something you never grow out of, and let's be real, being a nerd is fun. Normal's boring.
There's so much media now. We are so spoiled for things and streaming, and I never really got into anime. There was a window where I probably could have in the early VHS days, video stores, rentals. It'd be sort of like, oh, here's your volume 27 of something. I'm like, I can't start at volume 27.
No.
And then you find something, and it's like even now, I did start My Hero Academia, and everyone said I'd love it, and they were right. And
it's long.
Did I finish season 1 or finish season 2? It's the weight of it. It's the same thing about going back to look at Trash Heroes. It's like, there's so much, and I've lost the ability to binge, that even watching a half hour or an hour a day gets exhausting. And after a while, it's like, I need to watch something else for a while.
I go through periods where either I binge all of it, or I binge up until like the end of one season, and then I switch to something else, and then completely forget to ever go back.
Yeah. I try and keep abreast of things. But, I don't have time for video games. I'm no good at them anyhow. So
That's why you just play it on easy mode and just enjoy the story.
I like to draw. I like to look at the art.
That is also fair.
My daughters especially know this. Dad doesn't speak game. I'm at that Homer Simpson level that if I learn something new, I'm going to forget something else, like walking or breathing. I can't get rid of my Monty Python sketches that I've memorized. So whatever I can put in the anime. So I'll look it up when I need to, and I'll find the art, and I find it beautiful. But honestly, I don't think I have the Twitch fiber. I sucked at Pong. My best friend had Pong, and I couldn't win at that. Okay? It's like a button mash. That's my level. And they're beautiful. And sometimes I'll watch my kids play or watch friends play, but I can't contain the lore. There's just so much there. I think it's beautiful. It's a wonderful opportunity for art and storytelling.
That's true. I game occasionally, but there are certain franchises that I very much enjoy. Like I love Mass Effect and Dragon Age, just because like I love what BioWare does with the stories. I'm not going to say I love every decision that they make, but I enjoy just sort of the experience. When the new latest Dragon Age game came out, I didn't have the ability to play it because I
Right.
don't have something to play it on. So basically, what I did is I found where someone went and like made a movie. They recorded their playthrough and like trimmed it down to like the main story moments and like included bits of conversations. It was 15 hours. It took me like 3 weeks to watch it. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to like see and experience the story in some way.
My kids will occasionally show me, if I have a question, they're like, here's a cutscene to watch. But it's funny, I've had the opportunity to work for Steve Jackson Games on a few projects.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool, very fun to work with. Their work is so pun-oriented, it works with cartoon. The last big project I did was they did a Munchkin version of Shadowrun. And
that's a fun combination.
It was so fun. And this much I knew about, Shadowrun, but sort of diving into it and looking at all the art, looking at the game art and the manuals and doing my own cartoons of them. I got to do the same thing for their Pathfinder Munchkin, which was really cool because often they'll have the game studio or whatever has their own official art that they'll just use cards, but because it's Munchkin, it had to be somewhat sillier. And so that was a lot of fun. Drawing kind of the main characters, the archetypes, and looking up the spells and whatnots and twisting them 90 degrees.
How do you represent this thing that is incredibly detailed and maybe not super familiar to you in a style that's a lot more like cutesy cartoony?
Yeah, especially in Shadowrun, a lot of the weaponry and technology, sometimes it would be like fancy gun Mark IV, because in the game it's only Mark I or II. So I've got to copy the original and then expand on it because it has an established look, especially because they had the factions, they had like the Ares and the whatever. So there were sort of prescribed looks, because otherwise I could make up cartoon weaponry all the live long day. But it was a little more limiting. I would start with that original reference and try and be faithful to it, and then start exaggerating. In a way, it's kind of like caricature, because caricature is about playing with the shape relationship of a likeness. So for a weapon or a vehicle, it's again, what are the dominant shapes? Maybe make those bigger. What are the secondary shapes? Make those smaller. Which are the shapes to leave alone so that it's still balanced? So there's that stretch, and making air biscuits. There's that stretch. You got to make air biscuits on it and keep the likeness, but exaggerate it. And then maybe add some cartoon hands on it, like Inspector Gadget coming out somewhere.
Now I'm kind of curious because I know we've been going for a while, but you've mentioned your work doing caricature art, but I'd be curious to know like a little bit more about that. What are things you enjoy about it? Any fun interactions?
Oh, too many. Caricature is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Doing live caricature can be quite the rush. It can be very tricky at times too, dealing with crowds or lines. And it's not something everybody gets. Some people don't like their own photo, so they're not going to like a caricature. But I've had many fun opportunities drawing caricature. It actually started because I did caricatures for a friend was having a little fundraiser for breast cancer. So she and her husband were hosting a casino night, I guess. Sort of a potluck, and you paid $5, you got a cup of chips. And they had a blackjack table and a craps table and a roulette table, and you could win some door prizes. But otherwise, it was just fun, and the money went to breast cancer. To draw some Rat Pack pictures, the classic Vegas, Sinatra, Joey, Sammy, Dean caricatures. I did the characters. I think I did a door prize that was a velvet Elvis, black velvet. strangely, they never taught you how to paint on velvet in college, but And somebody came up to me and said, "Did you do the caricatures?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you do events?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." She says, "I work for an event planner, and people hire caricaturists to do their parties." And I said, "No, they don't." And I went home, looked up event planners in the phone book. Used to be a thing that we had, the yellow pages, and listed myself, and I started doing party caricatures. So you spend 5 minutes on a black and white face with a marker. It takes some practice. My first ones were very simple. I've done weddings, bar mitzvah, corporate events, late night parties, bars, and a lot of commissions for people they want a caricature for their Christmas card or their wedding, or just somebody's retiring. Here's a good moment. We were at Dragon Con. It was our first Dragon Con. We've only been a couple times. We were there for the comics, the web comics, having a grand time. Everybody should go to Dragon Con at least once. It's a hell of a crowd. It's a party. But we had some fans, some readers, come by and say, listen, they had brought a giant suitcase full of booze and mixers. And they had caravaned down with a couple cars, and one of the cars had broken. So it's like, we can't bring this back. However, if you hang out with us tonight, we will give you drinks for free.
Hard to turn that deal down.
So we're sitting around, and so I pull out a pad of paper and I start doing caricatures as a way of thank you. You're giving me free drinks. I'm going to draw everybody in your group. And frankly, as I'm drinking, I'm drawing anybody who wants to draw, kind of thing. And we were in the main hotel, had a raised area. I don't know if they still had it. This sort of a little raised area that they called the Pulse Lounge. It had a small wet bar up there. And the hotel was very cute. They're very cool. They said, we see booze of your own. Just keep it under the table and buy a drink occasionally. Buy something. So we're like, no problem. So people would occasionally buy a round of shots or something like that. The group was growing because everybody knew everybody and people are coming in. And there was a young woman who was pregnant, and there was a fellow by himself sitting in one of the chairs. So somebody went over and said, listen, if we can steal your chair, we'll give you a drink. So this young man, he was waiting for friends who were lost in the crowd. He's like, sure. So he wound up joining our group. And so they gave him a rum and coke or whatever. And I went over to say, thank you for giving up your chair to our group and for joining our group. Hi, who are you? How are you? Waiting for friends, who knows where they are. Can I draw your caricature for you? Oh, okay, cool. So I'm drawing his caricature, and he says, so who are you people? And he said, well, we do web comics. Is you read any web comics? He goes, yeah, I read Least I Could Do. And I say, hi, I'm Lar. What? Even better. He was back from deployment in Iraq. His brother was still over there. And his brother had introduced him to our webcomic.
Oh, that's cool.
This is insane that the odds that you read my comic and your brother introduced you, we got to get a picture and email it to his brother. Now, this was also in the era of flip phones, but he had a smarter phone. We took a selfie together. First, he messaged his brother saying, you won't believe who I'm hanging out with. And his brother was like, buy that man a drink. And he says, I can't. Then a drink. Then he sent a picture of us. We took a selfie together. We got his brother and his old unit's mailing address. And after the con, we sent them a care package full of books and comics because a lot of the deployment was hurry up and wait. So having comics to read, having something they could just throw in their backpack or their pocket when they're going out was so useful. So it was like, this is amazing. We're able to directly thank some of the military people who already enjoy our comic.
That is so cool.
What other job do you get that kind of satisfaction?
I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I've had people cry when I've done their caricature. I've had people tear it up who don't like their caricature. but I know what kind of face I have. And I actually belong to the ISCA, International Society of Caricature Artists, who meet annually. And it's one of the best times. Unfortunately, I have to miss it this year. It's truly international. You meet artists from all over the globe: Japan, Korea, Germany, the United Kingdom, all across the States. So talented, so fun. And we just draw each other for a week. They have guest speakers in. I'm really sorry to miss this year. They've got a fellow in who's not only a caricaturist, but he's also a brain researcher or something. He's done work on how the brain stores faces.
That is fascinating.
Oh, cool. He's got a short YouTube or something. That's how we found him. It's like, but you're also, I don't know if he became a caricaturist first or second, but it relates to this understanding of how the brain stores, and all relates to caricature. We've had guest speakers who are animators and illustrators, and just brilliant, brilliant stuff. And again, the artists themselves, wonderful people.
That just gave me a random thought of, I wonder how people with propopagnosia, I think that's how you say it, the face blindness, how is their ability to recognize faces in like caricature?
That's an excellent idea. That's an excellent thought.
Is it different enough?
John Cleese did a series of shows that was all about like the brain or something, and they had a moment on caricature in that a good caricature is easier to recognize than a person, because it seems that we store features more than we store the whole. We don't store things like a photograph. We store your nose and your eyes and your mouth and your ears and your chin and your hair. So they had an example of Prince Charles, King Charles now at the time, because he's such a wonderful subject with his British nose and his big ears. It is fascinating. I don't know how it would work with people with face blindness, though. That's an excellent question.
And now I'm kind of intrigued because I feel like it might also vary on like a case-by-case basis. You're mentioning about how like the brain stores like different details. It reminds me of some drawing advice I saw someone talking about on like just a random Facebook video. When someone was learning how to draw faces, their professor would have them like turn the reference material upside down, because like your brain will fill in like, oh, you know what a nose looks like, you know what ears look like, but having it be upside down, it's not in the same context. So as you're copying, you are actually copying and not just filling in what your brain thinks you know.
Our brain, yeah, I've done that exercise myself, because the language part of our brain is so strong. It's kind of like why hieroglyphics work. It's that, I'm looking at you and I'm seeing you have an eye, but my brain is doing like the CBS eye, the little icon, little almond shape with a dot. But that's not a true representation of your eye. It doesn't get the folds into personality, it doesn't get the color or the highlights or the brow or all the other bits connected. Turning it upside down, suddenly it's not an eye anymore to the way the brain processes. It's shapes and values, and that's what you need to work from.
Yeah, so sometimes when you're struggling with something, you just got to try a different perspective. And that works on so many things.
Good advice for many things.
Exactly. If you would like to let our listeners know where they can see your work, and also if there's any artists or comic strips or organizations, local or international, you would like to shout out, give them a shout out.
Well, you can find my comic 7 days a week at leasticouldddo.com, LICD.com. Monday to Saturday, it's sort of a PG-17 strip. Sometimes it's office jokes, sometimes it's dick jokes. Sometimes, but Sunday is family friendly. Sunday's a throwback strip to the characters of the little boy. You can also find the archives for Looking for Group, lfg.co, which had 17 years of long-form fantasy comedy. You can find me at lartist.bluesky.social, or Uncle Lar, UNCALAR, on Instagram if you just want to see the random stuff I post, or Facebook. Just Google my name, Lar DeSouza. As organizations, I love ISCA. If you're interested in caricature, there's still time. Their convention this year is in Los Angeles, not far from the airport. So if you're in the area or wanting to go, it is the best week for an artist. If you are interested in the art of caricature as a fan, as a creator, check it out. I cannot recommend these people higher. They're such beautiful chosen family. It's not pertinent now, but from January to like May, June, every year my wife and I fundraise for the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. And we fundraise by me doing digital cartoon avatars for donations.
Ooh.
You would donate $50 Canadian. Send me the receipt and I will draw you. And every month there's a different cartoon theme. So I've done My Little Pony, I've done Lower Decks, I've done Garfield. So I will choose a popular cartoon style and mimic that style in caricature.
I happen to know multiple people who would absolutely jump on the My Little Pony one, including I have a friend who actively like makes like My Little Pony fan music, basically. And like he's been to multiple cons just across the states.
My magical ungulate, any hoofed mammal. The only caveat is I would not do princesses. I would not do alicorns with the horn and the wings. That said, I did do a Pegasus rhino, but that's not the same as a Pegasus rhino unicorn. Only because my understanding of fans is if somebody has made their character into a princess, they're going to be way more specific than this donation thing.
You're not wrong.
I said in a questionnaire, and after the movie, my wife is a brony, we did add sea ponies and mer ponies, which are different. That was a lot of fun. Very popular, doing all of those characters in all those hoofed mammals. That also included sea cows, by the way. Keep an eye on my social media in the new year. I haven't chosen what the themes are. Last year I did Edward Gorey, he was very popular. I did Richard Scarry, the Busy Town style. I've been doing it for 13 years. So there's like 50 styles. And the last month is always the rewind where you can choose any of the previous styles.
Nice.
And those plushies for sale that we sell and then donate that money to MS. So that's a cause near and dear to us. I send you a printable version of the art so you can print it yourself or make t-shirts or business cards or whatever you want.
That's pretty cool. It's a good way to stretch your creative muscles and
it's great for charity.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to an unexpected art interview with Lar DeSouza, comic artist and caricature artist. If you like what we're doing, you can follow us on social media and join the conversation over at An Unexpected Art Lesson on Threads, Blue Sky, and Substack. And you can also support us over on Patreon. Get early access to episodes and other fun things at patreon.com/anunexpectedartlesson.